XPRZO says, in your experience, out of all the games you led, did they turn a profit? Is it hard to generate profit in creating games due to the high overhead, unpredictable adoption rate of gamers? Every game that I've worked on that shipped has been profitable, and I think I'd have to check on at least one of them. All of them are still live at the moment as well. I mean, because it's pretty easy to check. Basically, I worked on EQ. It's still live. We tried to get a new mercenary game going. It got canceled, and that was while I was briefly working on PlanetSide. So I was only there as to kind of see what was going on while we were kicking up the next game. So I don't really count PlanetSide as like anything I really contributed to. So EQ, DC Universe Online is still live. Both of those very profitable. After that, I went over to King's Isle where I helped out on Pirate 101, Wizard 101. They're still live, I believe. Third MMO I was supposed to work on never went live because they decided they're going to make mobile games. So then I went to Germany to work on Dark Orbit. Last I looked, it was live. That was a very profitable game because it was like 7 years old when I got there. Star Stable, very profitable game. What I've found is, in my experience, it's not hard to generate a... let me take that back. Making games is hard. Making a profitable game is hard. Making an MMO that's profitable is hard. The games that I have seen and worked on that have been profitable typically started as a smaller game that allowed them to reach profitability quicker, and then allowed them to grow, sometimes too much, but like EQ paid for most of Sony Online's lifespan, right? So that's kind of part of the philosophy of coming into this was nothing's guaranteed, everything's insanely hard to pull off. Making games is very hard, just because you need people to make games, and people don't always work well together and jive and move in the same direction and all that shit. It gets easy to overthink things. It gets easy to overspend. It gets easy to overinvest and then be stuck there with this thing. It's like, hey, we spent 50 million on this. Realistically, what is the business like? How is our business model going to get not only that 50 million back? Like, how do we take care of the $50 million payback window? But also then, do that while handling our operating expenses, which is chiseling away from, increasing the length of that payback window. And then, is it worthwhile to anybody, and blah, blah, blah. That's why companies like Amazon, and I'm not speaking about, any of their stuff that, like the stuff that the Amazon folks in San Diego or whatever are working on, but like, that's why they spent how much on that one game? I mean, a shitload. And then basically it's just like, this isn't going to work, right? Not New World. New World. So there was another one that was like a Battle Royale or something like that came out and then like went back into beta and then came out again and then was canceled or something. But anyways, when you're taking these like big ass swings like that, it gets really easy to just all of a sudden realize mathematically this doesn't make any sense. And so that's one of the things that we've tried to avoid. That's why this has also remained, a passion project for as long as it has. Crucible, that's right. That's the one. Enigma 314 asked, not sure if you've covered this in the past, but do you need this project to be financially successful, or is it a project you're working on with folks for fun? If it is a biz, do you have content talking about that side of things at all? We hit on it every once in a while. But to answer your question, it is a commercial project. We are currently doing this as a passion project to get us to the point where we can switch to having this be people's full-time jobs. We're looking at a couple different options of how we do that moving forward. For the time being, for as long as the team continues to, donate their time to the project and we get further and further along, it gets easier and easier for us to get into a mode where we're financially viable. A big part of the cost obviously is game development, or a big part of the cost is developing the game originally. And so we're mitigating a fair bit of that just by bootstrapping the costs, basically paying for the stuff that we have to pay for out of pocket. So software costs, contractors, legal fees, all of that stuff is being handled just out of pocket. And then we're doing the work on a volunteer basis. Nice upfront cash flow would be lifetime subs in collector's edition versions. So the challenge with that is I personally, and I'm just speaking for myself on this one, I feel like selling a lifetime sub before the game is in a really playable state where, essentially you'd be paying a sub anyway, that feels sketchy, right? Like we don't want to be like, hey, pay us this chunk up front, and there's no guarantee that there's a game there yet, right? On the flip side, if there is a game there, I'd still kind of rather you have just pay us the sub. Just pay us the sub, because the thing that we're doing is whatever we charge for a lifetime sub would have to make sense relative to what we believe your likely lifetime value is, right? Your LTV as a customer. And so, what do we price that out as? Is a lifetime sub a 1-year subscription, right? In terms of pricing, is it if our, let's just say the sub is $10, so do we do a lifetime subscription for $120? That I've seen that happen at businesses where they were too dependent on lifetime subs to basically push revenue during a certain quarter or something like that. Oh, our quarter's looking a little weak and we got to report to the board, We said we're going to grow by 15% this year, so let's do some lifetime subs. Well, you do lifetime subs, and if you do those at at a certain price point, okay, well, but then that's it. And our job is to get you to come back. Like, our goal should be, how do we have you be a subscriber for 20 years, right? That's a much different LTV, and that's one of those crazy goals. But even 2 years, that's a different LTV than just firing off a lifetime sub. And I've actually seen it where not only was there a reliance on lifetime subs, but then there was a reliance on lifetime sub, discounted lifetime subs, right? And it's like, now you've really kind of screwed the pooch. And it's okay if we've got microtrans and all this other stuff maybe making up that gap, right? If there's a case to be made that says, people, once they become lifetime subscribers, then they monetize better on all the other stuff. But we don't have that other stuff, and we don't want that other stuff in our game. Unbutton the top button or two of your shirts during streams and start, and the subs will roll in. No, Dargith. You don't want to see this pirate ship I got tattooed on my chest.